When I joined MTech after a 2 year software engineer stint at Wipro, I kind of felt more prepared for that curriculum because I already had gained some C programming experience at my company. I had been able to independently work on some big projects and deliver. So I felt like I had more experience than those who were just joining out of school. Uh, I may have even been mistaken in thinking so, but at least it gave me a confidence boost, which allowed me to do the rest of the program more manageably. By the end of the 2 years, of course, we were all kind of leveled up, but that set me on a trajectory, I would think, where I wasn't looking forward to just getting a placement and getting into a job already, since I already had that experience. So I instead converted into a PhD program and continued at IIT Bombay for a PhD. Once I had my PhD, because the defense itself took me a while to do, I was still having a bachelor's degree in hand, and I got a job in the US. So it was an entry level position because of my bachelor's degree. And even there, I felt like I had a lot more skills than the position deserved. So I was able to coast along quite comfortably and get my next promotion and so on. So overall, I think at each stage, I was getting good enough experience that it prepared me for the next stage very well. When I reflect on this question, I see so many people who have influenced me in many positive ways and really helped me along on this journey. When I think back to the earliest moments when I got into computer science, I think of my first computer science teacher, and he taught all the kind of computer science courses in my junior college, including basic programming, Pascal programming, semiconductor physics, and later C programming in a summer class that I took with him. And he kind of taught quite well, and I ended up getting like an A plus grade in both my computer science classes back then. So when I initially started those classes under him, I felt like I had no idea what this algorithm thing is. Like, what do you do in a for loop? You set a variable n equal to 0 and then immediately check whether a variable x equal to 0, for example, and then immediately check whether x is less than n. And I was like, 0 is less than n. Why do we check that? So initially, I remember like not getting that simple piece, but then later getting it. And uh, the fact that I got that from a friend of mine, a colleague in my class, who was like blazing through with all the Pascal and basic programming exercises. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. So that's where I got that confidence and kind of moved on, and then started acing all my classes. So overall, I felt like these couple of people in the very early stages of my computer science career kind of gave me confidence and motivated me into computer science. So my main challenge, I would say, throughout my career has been kind of a general lack of self-confidence, combined with the fact that I am an introvert by nature. So this meant that I couldn't easily socialize with strangers, and assimilation with a new company and culture is best done by socializing with as many people as possible, in the first few weeks. So when you're new, it's very easy to step up to someone and say, "Hey, I'm new here. What do you work on, and what's going on in this company?" So, and I think that's what I've learned over the years, like to just overcome my hesitation and talk to as many people as I can and network, and also to ask as many questions as possible in the initial months, because once you get into the grind of your job, it'll be harder to get out of it and try to learn. But when you're new, nobody really expects you to contribute anything straight away, so that's your best opportunity to ask questions and learn as much as you can and just absorb everything that's going on around you. So that's my way of getting assimilated is to ask questions and learn as much as I can. I think one major setback that I always think about is that after I finished my PhD, uh, finishing my PhD meaning just getting to a point where it's called the pre-synopsis, where you have your thesis idea ready and you present that to your committee and they say, okay, this looks good for a thesis. Like all of your work is done, but now you have to write the thesis, submit it, get it reviewed, and then defend it. So that work bit of writing the thesis, which takes maybe 4 months, and then getting it reviewed and then defending it, which maybe takes another 6 to 8 months. So the total span can be done in 1 year. It took me actually 3 years, because after doing my pre-sin, I came to the US and I got into a job, and then I was doing these things in parallel, and I kind of procrastinated on writing my thesis and instead just did my day job, which was this job here. So procrastination was like a huge setback for me. It delayed my degree by at least 2 years, and and the way I overcame that is by I was watching a lot of things on Netflix and YouTube, many documentaries and so on, and then finally I came onto this platform called Coursera. On Coursera, I started doing courses. Can you imagine? Like, set aside my job, set aside my thesis. I'm doing other courses like machine learning and such, which had nothing to do with what I was doing. And then I came along a course called Learning How to Learn, which is where they had a topic on procrastination. And then I took up this technique from that course, which is called Pomodoro technique, which allowed me to basically conquer procrastination. So overall, what I learned here is that no matter what flaws I believe are in me, I can still overcome them. I don't have to keep living with a flaw. Like, I can take steps to change myself for the better. So no matter what the setback, I would say that's something I would try to do. There weren't any difficult people per se, but only difficult circumstances. And as I mentioned, a lack of self-confidence and some imposter syndrome thrown in, and an introverted personality. So all these together kind of made life a bit difficult for me. And I used to feel invisible in several situations and so on. But at Pure Storage, my current company, over the last couple of years, all this has changed or improved somewhat. And especially in the engineering manager role that I have now, I feel almost no hesitation in slacking a stranger to compliment them on some work that's well done or to ask for help on some project. So these changes have come over me, and especially sometimes I used to feel in meetings like women used to get overlooked, like men would be talking or arguing over the women or interrupting and so on. And maybe if women pose a point, they don't listen. Like, these kinds of things also came in my mind sometimes. And when I spoke to my manager about it, he was like, the only thing that you need to establish your presence in a meeting is to speak up, and speak up loudly if needed. And sometimes I see his point. Like, if I don't speak up, then I am asking to be overlooked. So yeah, try to speak up in a meeting. Sometimes you feel hesitation, but not let that hold you from what you want to say, which is really important. So I would say engineering mindset is all about getting into the technical details and figuring out the best design or solution. Whereas management mindset is about the big picture, getting the right people to do the right job and providing them the right tools. So management mindset also includes like people management, which is the big component. And a manager needs to care about the growth of the team first and foremost. And some of these specific changes that was needed uh, was that about caring about the team means that not just thinking of uh, not just thinking of a process that needs to get put into place for the team to be efficient or whatever, but thinking really whether this team needs this process. So this is what I learned from a senior manager who was also mentoring me. He said processes are there for predictability, but sometimes you have teams which don't need this specific process, and you should be able to be flexible with that. That's something I learned over time, because previously I was just probably trying to apply a process because it works, just keep applying it, and that has changed. I also read several management specific books because I realized that we get a lot of training, technical training and education, and that's why we became engineers, but we become managers without any specific training. So I spoke to many senior managers and got tips around one-on-ones, how to conduct team meetings, and again about these processes, what works well in what situations, and so on. My company also offers several management training courses, so I have done them. And I think the biggest challenge had was that as an engineer, you can get some satisfaction or happiness on a daily basis just by solving a problem. Even if nobody else knows about it, you know that you solved it, and you can get that aha, I did it kind of a feeling. But when you're a manager, you're not solving technical problems on a daily basis. So those moments were missing kind of. In the first few months, I struggled a bit with not getting that appreciation and all that. But then I changed my mindset to think that in my current role as manager, what makes me happy is the happiness of the team. So if in one-on-one somebody tells me that they are happy with the way the team is progressing, or they offer even some feedback for how I can improve in the future, it gives me a signal that they're engaged with me as a manager, and they're willing to work with me, which makes me feel good and makes me feel appreciated. So that is my happiness dose for now. One strategy that works, I think, is to ask questions to further our understanding. Asking them questions to understand why their viewpoint is the way it is, uh, and through this discussion, I may realize that my opinion or my understanding was wrong, or they will realize the same thing, or both of us kind of agree and reach to a situation where we have a common understanding of things. And I think uh, most often the constraints of why we are picking a particular solution is not known by the other person, and that's why we disagree. So once we have that common understanding, it's easier to work together and come on the same page. The other thing I have heard often these days is, even if you disagree, sometimes you debate for a long time, and if you still disagree, then you agree to disagree, but still commit to a common solution and move ahead. I think those are the kind of strategies we need. Uh, I have definitely heard of this experience from many women in tech, and this has been this kind of the story of my life too. I think, although I did not suspect initially that it was because I'm a woman, I've always attributed it more to the fact that I lacked confidence, and I had imposter syndrome and all of that. So, but I do see that happening a lot of the time, and I'm not sure that as an individual we can fix this problem. I think it's more of a systemic problem. The best thing we can do, although, is that we can keep speaking up and making noise about the work that we have done. Not letting credit not giving up the credit, but asking for it and speaking for it, claiming your credit where it's due, and in fact, there is a recent Google initiative called I Am Remarkable, which guides women on how to self promote without coming across as bragging. So I think those kinds of things are what we need to be able to promote ourselves, so that people, at least even if they're judging on us on what we have done or what we have done in the past, if we don't talk about it, then they still don't know that we have done those things. So talking about it is so important. So, um, so I believe like I have a lot of experience to share based on my life, and I'm willing to talk about any of those topics. Like, I don't want to hold any topic off limits. Like nothing is off limits. We can talk about anything that matters. In the past, I have taught like technical topics to school and college kids. And more recently, I've been talking about things like navigating careers and time or priority management and things like that. Even procrastination, I'm willing to discuss how to overcome those things. In general, I think I would look for in the mentee to bring their questions, self-reflect and bring questions about where do they need help, and to pull those answers from the mentor. So not just being present in the discussion, but actively ask questions and get that kind of feedback to be able to take away and implement in their own lives. I think that's how the relationship becomes more successful by the mentee driving it.